Good evening. I'm Bonnie Gordon, and I'm here with my co-host Greg Kendall. We'd like to welcome County Council candidate Marc Clay this evening. Vincent Chiravalle was unable to join us, but we have Marc here, and we're going to ask him a few questions and talk to him about his campaign.
All right. First question we've got is, how do you see the top issues facing the county, and how do you intend to tackle those issues?
Well, I guess before I answer, I'll say thanks for having me here. I very much appreciate it. The top issues, the top issue to me that we need to stay focused on in Los Alamos is, as a county, is our relationship with Los Alamos National Laboratory. That's the reason being, with them being the 800-pound gorilla up the hill, you know, as things affect them, it really affects the community. I mean, you know, small changes in Lannel can really impact our economy. You know, prices of houses, and you know, and our plans for education, and all those things are really impacted by that. Things that happen adversely at Lannel can really impact us too. I had an old boss of mine once say, you know, we have an accident in Los Alamos, it can actually lower housing prices. So anyway, you know, whatever we do as a county, we need to be as predictive as possible. You know, some things with Washington are not as predictable as we would like, but we want to be with them as much as possible to see what's coming so we can prepare. So to me, that's the number one issue. I mean, there's a bit of instability right now in Congress and the nuclear weapons program budget. Where is that going? So us being mindful of that, because you know it directly impacts GRT, which is a lot of where we get our income. So that's the number one concern I have. That's what keeps me awake at night, is thinking about that. So with that in mind, then the next big issue that you have would be sort of how are we going to be diversified, and what's our economic development plans in the future? How are we going to be prepared for that if Lannel drops another 700 employees, for example, or we're not able to diversify at Lannel with our Work for Others program as soon as we would like at the laboratory, or as soon as the county would like. So being predictive of those things, of all the programs we want, because it impacts everything. Economic development, affordable housing, you know, our quality of life, they're all really intertwined. So I guess that's it flows down from that to me.
Sure.
So we want to be very connected on that.
That's good.
Sure.
And we're wondering, on the trail, you've been out pounding the pavement, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Have you heard anything that kind of bubbles up from the people when you go to door? Is there something that you were surprised about, or that seems to be on people's minds?
You know, I got to tell you, when I began pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, and talking to folks, I expected to hear some of the common themes that you hear in council, or the things I just talked about. I expect, well, what do you do about economic development? What are you going to do about affordable housing? What are you going to do about, you know, those kind of things? How are you going to be connected to the schools? But what I'm finding, now there are some people talking about those things. Somebody called me today and said, you know what, we really got to work on that economic development piece, and I really want you to think about getting people to come to Los Alamos. That was a big, I've heard that from several people. She had an experience on Sunday where there were some people in town, they were at Pet Pangea shopping. They were from out of town, and they got done and they ran into her on the sidewalk and they said, where do we go to eat? It was a Sunday. And she goes, you know, everywhere I go, it seems like I'm not allowed to go there. That's what the person said. Now, what happened, I think, is they went across the bridge, and but the impression that this person got was, I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure where to go. It's not clear to me. So anyway, this particular person said that's something we should work on. Now, how do we feel welcoming to people and their direction? But where I was going in the conversation is, I'm finding as individuals, they all have their individual thing that they're concerned with. It isn't as global as you might have imagined. For example, one person came up to me and said, you know what, I know we really want to think about that new airport road, but it's really going to affect my house. So, you know, how do you feel about that? So they're really little, very pointed things. Or, you know, when I go to this area, that sidewalk is cracked. How are you going to fix that thing? So, you know, you think broader about infrastructure. I know my pet peeve, I think I even said it to you, when I go to council chambers, when I'm elected, I'm gonna fix that door that slams every time you go through it. So anyway, that's an example of the kind of things that people say to me. So it's not as broad as you might imagine.
Sure, everybody has their concern.
Has their concern. Anyway, it's just.
Bonnie's got a
Well,
question.
I've got a question about the voters. When you're a counselor, if you're elected, how will you go about hearing from people that we don't always hear from? You know, a wide range of citizens and not just the people with the loudest voices or those that send the most emails.
Right. Well, some have said that government is executed by the people that show up, and that certainly is a lot. There's a lot to be said for that. So you're asking, how do you reach the people that necessarily don't show up or can't show up or for whatever reason? I'm a believer, and because I was one of these people for years, you know, through the decade of the 80s mostly when I was up here, you know, raising kids. I was so busy with life, it was hard to be connected to it. You know, if somebody were to ask me, I said, I hope they're just taking care of that. So, you know, and you know, so what do you want me to take care of? Well, you know, I'm not sure, but I tell you, you know, so, but take care of it for me. And so what I'm saying is, I think there's a large part of Los Alamos in that boat. So it's not that they don't care, it's not that they don't want to be involved, it's just that, you know, they're taking their kids to soccer, they got Girl Scouts, they've got school things to go to, they got little kids at home, I got to get dinner ready, I got, you know, back and forth to work, I'm doing overtime, all those things together, they're just not quite sure. So something I'm targeting is hoping to reach out to those people through you know, there's a brand new county blog, you know, people are really starting to understand the blog. So, okay, can I get those people to at least spend some time and blog in, or this, we heard about
They call the forum.
Yeah, call the forum, thank you. Sorry, call it
No,
a blog.
no.
Yeah, I know what you mean, I'm sorry. Anyway, we heard a big thing last night about the county line, which is that newsletter. How do we get people to subscribe? So using the forum as an outlet, I think is important. Being visible in the community for community events, you know, maybe setting up booths. I mean, it seems people only solicit things when they're running. They don't solicit as much when they're done, right? So, I mean, is the county councilor going to have a booth at Gordon's to get input from people, or is it only when you run? So my thinking is, let's try to do that kind of thing. Let's see, if once you're already in office, can I get your opinion on things at these major events? So instead of saying, hey, I look for your vote, please vote for me, Marc Clay, it's okay, you know, what's bothering you? What can we do to help you? And soliciting that input. So that's something that's in my mind that I like to do. I want to reach that large majority of people that just can't be involved as they like, but they have an opinion. They
So
have,
difficult,
It is hard, but now that we have more electronic media.
right.
Yeah, it does seem to be
Gives people
bubbling
another
up,
outlet.
getting people, Israelevitz has it's called 2020 on Facebook.
Vision 2020.
Yeah, Vision 2020, and a lot of people will comment on that in different communities. People, voices I haven't heard before.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know if that can help, but.
No, those are great ideas. So using those media outlets, Twitter, Facebook, whatever those things might be, how do we get connected? How do we get connected?
It's a hard nut to crack.
But just like, you know, having, Los Alamos, my office produces a document. It's called the Lanel Mirror. It's a publication talking about lessons learned from events at Lanel, and talking to people about that. A lot of people like to touch it with their hands, you know, more so than they like to go on the web and go and they click through the pages. So the lesson for me from that experience is there's room for both, of course. But people want to talk to you, they want to see you, they want to tell you to your face as much or more than they want to enter it via online. So if I can reach both of those, that's something I'll do if elected. I won't stop campaigning when the campaign's over. It's still keep trying to find out what's going on.
It just struck me that if there was a way to have like subgroup meetings, like little community meetings where people could come, I don't know if people would actually do it, but come, like White Rock folks, come on such and such a night and talk to, it's not the night for the counselors to talk, it's the night for the community to talk. I don't know, there's something that's missing, that we're lacking, that we're not getting the families that are busy, and we've really got to crack that nut to make our government hum.
Like the Hive, you know, the meeting at the Hive.
Yeah.
So if there's a counselor present or an official, and they're sort of listening and gathering input. You know, there's rules once you're on council about how many can get together, what you can do. So, but individually, I mean, living within those guidelines and those rules about listening, as opposed to interjecting.
And if they announce it ahead of time, then they can
Sure.
be there. Well, then we'll go on to the next one, which is what is your assessment of the county's support for our educational institutions? And what ideas do you have for improving the support and the educational system and institutions?
Well, my assessment is that our current county council and the county and the citizens, we're very much in favor of supporting these school programs, facilities and programs. I mean, as evidenced by past council, by the whole Trinity site project, there was a way to creatively find a way to generate a revenue stream that could benefit the county. So myself, I'm exceptionally in favor of that, of anything we can do creatively to do that. You know, I can't walk to Dr. Schmidt and say, here's a buck, go put it and do that. So I mean, there's rules about that.
Right.
I mean, that's, everybody kind of knows that. But there are creative ways through you know, lease agreements. You know, are there ways that we can find to do breaks for like utilities or on common usage, like Dwayne Smith? You know, how do we work on that? Dwayne Smith is used as much by the community or more than the schools. Sure. You know, you look at that auditorium, it's pretty empty most times, except when the community needs it for a church function or Dance Arts Los Alamos or whatever. So how do we work with them to make these I mean, how do we help them keep that up and use it as a community resource? So there are ways to do it. It's just a matter of, do you have the energy and enthusiasm to do it? And the answer is yes. I've been very much engaged in the school programs for many years. I mean, I'm a basketball coach now at the high school, and I see the state of some of our facilities, and that we need to inject money. I mean, I see what's going on with the band room, and we need to infuse money into the arts. And you know, we've invested a lot of money into the schools through the high school and now the middle school. We need to continue that. So, in summary, I'm really in favor of that. It's going to take some creative ways. They're not as imaginatively creative as you might imagine. I mean, there are things we can definitely do. We just got to do them and do more of them. So that's kind of where I sit on that.
And I believe that Dwayne Smith was actually initially it was a community auditorium.
It absolutely was right.
Right.
It was owned by the county once, and then the county turned it back over to the schools and said, "I had it, you got it." So you know. I'm not sure who made that deal, but ever since that point, you know, we have to find a way to do that.
That's been one of my pet peeves is in the community, everyone's always complaining about, we don't have a convention center, we don't have an auditorium, and I'm thinking, yes we do, but we're not helping it.
That's right.
You know, it needed new curtains. Luckily they've been doing some things, they put in new curtains, they're working on chairs, but there's so many other things that are needed. The bathrooms need to be improved. That's a real mess at the you know, intermission. It's just a jam. It's really
you should try the women's.
Yes, I'm aware of that. I've seen it.
I mean, it's kind of got an Art Deco feel in the beginning, sort of like the Empire State Building. That may have been about the time they built it. So they really need to upgrade that whole area and make that much.
Yeah, and I think the county should find a way to be involved and and do that.
I absolutely agree.
Okay, good.
And I wanted to ask about UNM Los Alamos in the county. We have that resource as well. They're going to be coming out with a mill levy in January. What's your feeling about working with them?
And both bonds. Where do you stand on the school?
The school bond.
The school bond and the UNMLA.
I'm in favor of both. So, you know, we've got a long-range strategic plan for investing in upgrading the infrastructure in our facilities in the public schools. So that's where one bond is one piece along that road. It's a $20 million bond, and we really need to move in that direction. We need to. For those of you who've been at Aspen School, boy, it needs a lot of work. There's a lot of kids at Aspen School. You know, we're busting at the seams there. We're busting at Mountain. We need to invest resources into those places now. Now, as far as UNMLA, I think maybe I've talked to you about this before, Greg, but you know, I got my associate's degree through UNMLA. I'm really in favor of that program. I mean, there's a lot of people who can't go to school unless that's here for some reason. I mean, I was going as part-time working and going to school. I was one of those busy people I was telling you about earlier. that is a really important facility. We've got terrific faculty. I mean, we draw on the laboratory a lot, high level faculty. It's a great institution, and things we can do to improve and keep that up are important. So I'm very much in favor of that mill levy. So anything we do that collectively we can help schools and keep moving, which, you know, it may sound trite, but those are the citizens of tomorrow, either, you know, a long tomorrow for little guys to tomorrow for the guys that are coming
directly.
Yeah, like
hiring.
tomorrow I'm hiring that person tomorrow.
Right.
So anyway, things that we can do along those lines, I'm in favor.
And
of
we
those.
mentioned earlier that in the previous interview that UNMLA did not get their bond the last go round.
Right.
No, they didn't.
And what can we do to convince the community that it is a good thing? Is there something we can do differently, do you think? Why aren't people willing to pony up? The school bond is going to be an offset. We're not going to really see increased taxes.
Right.
It'll just replace the taxes we were paying
That's right.
for the schools before. But UMLA, it is actually an increase.
It's a 2 mil.
It's a 2 mil increase. So how are we going to get people to be willing to? I don't know what kind of cost that is per on an average home in Los Alamos. No idea at this point.
To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure
either.
they'll announce it
Right.
right before the bond.
Right. Anyway, so the answer to the question, from my perspective, is first off, do we need it? Yes. I think it's a marketing campaign. It's how do we market that? Much like I think for the leisure pool, a lot of, you know, we didn't market that well. I mean, it came across as a kiddie pool, which a lot of people didn't really want that. So how do we market that better? As this is a needed thing for the community. This really benefits you in the future. And how do we do that? And I think our school, they're really rallying the troops to do that. And I'm seeing a lot of effort to try to get that endorsement and that support.
Convince the people that don't have kids.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
This is going to benefit them.
Right. Exactly. And, you know, and by the way, you were a kid once too, or you were a teenager. You needed an education. You needed the upper level one. So
And the strength of our town to have that, you know, that piece, that puzzle piece, I guess.
It's huge. It's huge, and we really should be proud of that institution. It really does a lot of good for a lot of people.
Yeah, community education is very important to a lot of
Vital.
senior
Well, for all the
population.
things we want to do, right?
Yeah.
For all the, you know, if we want economic development, we need a workforce who's capable of doing it, technically capable, you know, administratively capable as well. We need a process to generate that training and education here locally, have a piece of it, and they're able to move. I can't depend on Texas or Albuquerque to supply me with a workforce. You know, I need to help generate that internally as much as I can. So it's important. Anyway, market things like that. And that's the message, along with other things that we need to be working on.
I know we have a lot of capital projects in the works now, but if, you know, assuming that things go really well for us and our gross tax receipts are up, what capital projects would you like to see the county pursue?
Well, we do have a bit of a boon now. You know, during the time of like Amaury Pongratz, you know, we were working on stone knives and bear skins. That's how much money we have. And he reminded me of that a lot. You know, so now, you know, there's a relatively significant pot of money that we can work on. So remember the first thing I said, we got to be mindful of what's going on down the road about what that pot of money is going to do. So, you know, unless the laboratory goes away or they drastically change the laws in New Mexico, which I don't expect them to do, that pot will be there, but it may not be this big, it may be this big. Okay, so, we have to be mindful of that first. So, being a taxpayer myself, I'm always thinking about that. You know, I can't outlive my means, you know, what am I going to do, what's my reserve going to be, thinking about that stuff. As far as what projects I support, in general, I support the projects that benefit the most people and are in line with what the county goals are. So that's where I am. So for example, am I in favor of the Ashley Pond project? I'm absolutely in favor. Look at the benefit that would be for the community. I mean, first off, you know, we need to fix the infrastructure. I mean, just, you know, my wife's going to kill me when she sees this, but just last week we were walking with my granddaughter and she slipped on pond scum that was collecting because, you know, it isn't, she wasn't hurt bad, so you're okay. So anyway, but, you know, so the drainage is poor, it's cracked, it needs work. So we need to get the infrastructure in place, we need to invest in that, and then what a great place for all of us to go for years and years and years for like the Gordon's Concert Series and dancing and having fun and then other venues. So that benefits a lot of people. It attracts people, you know, which is another piece that's important. It's benefits the people that are here. So projects like that benefit large amounts of people and really are in line with the goals. Look at White Rock, the White Rock Visitor Center, trying to get White Rock moving along. I mean, one of you, I think you were down there for the White Rock opening the other day. So I forget, no, Carol was there. It was Carol. So that was terrific to see how many people were there and what a nice facility and how they're really trying to make that nice, that little corridor. And then as a stepping stone to A19, boy, you know, that benefits a lot of people, a lot of traffic going through there. So things like that we can benefit a lot of people and are in line with our goals is something that I'm going to be for.
I'm seeing a lot of activity at the visitor center. I live in White Rock.
Yeah. I lived there for 10 years and I'm so happy to see it down there, so it's terrific.
It looks fantastic. I haven't been down there. I've got to get down there since it's so.
Go see it.
Yeah.
You're going to go, wow, that's really a nice place.
It's very nice.
The pictures look great. Yeah. Let's talk about what will make you stand out from your opponents. What's unique in your experience and for your background that will make you the best candidate or one of the best? We've got three.
That's right. One of the best. I have a few feathers in my cap that make me stand out a bit. Well, one is, and they got to be looked at collectively. Okay, so it's not like, well, that one's better than that guy or that one's better than that guy. It's sort of a collection of things. So the first off, I mean, I've lived in Los Alamos County since 1983. I've lived in Los Alamos, I've lived in White Rock, I've had kids in virtually every school at one time or another. So I've been connected to the community and know what's going on here from an actual living perspective. I'm also from Santa Fe originally. My aunt and uncle lived up here, so I have a northern New Mexico connection too. I've been in northern New Mexico for 40 some odd years of my life, so to this point. So I have a really good practical experience of what's going on here, both regionally and locally. In 2004, I was fortunate enough to be, connected with the Leadership Los Alamos program. And that really inspired me to get much more engaged, to be not the person who was too busy to do it. Okay, but now that my kids are getting bigger, get out there and do it yourself and get engaged. In fact, I promised my class in 2004 that I would sooner or later try to be on county council. So I was going to try to learn the issues well enough that I'd be well enough informed to be able to do this. So from 2004 till today, I'm still on the board today. I've been on the board for Leadership Los Alamos, helping to train the future leaders. So I've been in every class and every lecture and heard every speaker, so I really know the issues. I'm also Leadership New Mexico. I'm a graduate of that program as well. So which is a little bit larger region, including southern New Mexico, but really gives you an idea what's going on. So it teaches a lot about leadership, teaches a lot about the issues. So practical experience, training, education and training to get here, and then I've got a good deal of management and leadership experience through my time in Leadership New Mexico and Los Alamos and at the laboratory. So I've been a manager. I managed multi-million-dollar projects, managed lots of people. You know, I understand concerns that are in general that people need to know about when they want to manage and lead these kind of organizations. For example, yesterday at the council meeting, we heard something that had tremendous impact on the employees of the county, which is their health insurance, right? So I'm a person that understands practically and managerial leadership and issue-wise, what are the balances you need to do to move that kind of thing forward. Anyway, so those are the things that collectively, those three things in collection make me a strong.
And did you agree with the decision that the council made to
yes,
do the self-insurance?
Yes, I did. So if I had a chance to lean forward, I'd have said yes. So on that. So I'm not a person that's typically excessively risk averse. So I understand that there are risks in everything, and so you got to balance and weigh those risks. So does the benefit outweigh the risk? In that case, I think yes, from the county's perspective. So yeah, I was in favor of that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Oh, we've got to ask you about your website. We noticed that it is now live and hooked up into our election 2012 webpage that you guys should check out, because we've got all the websites linked to all the candidates and all their information. So if you want to ask them a question, you can email them. and look at their website and check out their stands.
We have the
And,
voter's guide up there.
We get the voter's guide, that's right, and the League of Women Voters information, and the county's voting information, so you can find out where to vote, what days, information about early voting, all that, anything you want to know, we probably got a link to it. So check that out.
So thank you for the plug for the website.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Brandon Cox, a Los Alamos High School senior, who volunteered to help me do that, and he, in his spare time, put that together. So I was totally not capable of getting that done. So thank you very much to Brandon for helping me get that together.
Okay.
Well, we'd like to thank you for joining us tonight, Mark. On behalf of Carol Clark, our publisher, and me and Greg, we very much enjoyed chatting with you, and thank you for being here. We have 4 conversations with council candidates so far, and we urge everyone to see all of them on our website and find out more about what all these candidates have to say. We have full election coverage, and you can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on our website.
Thanks for joining us.